Hello, everybody. This is Todd Mitchell at Mitchell Creative Group, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about content recycling, getting creative with content recycling. Now, what is content recycling? Anytime I do a project, I try to point out to people that you start with basic content about your product, your service, your deliverable. And let's say, for example, it's a 1 to 2 page Google Doc or a Word document that's about your product or service. So the first thing you're going to want to start with, obviously, is correct branding. Branding is huge. So I spend a lot of time on branding to make sure that it says the right stuff. Okay, so branding is, how it looks, how it reads. It's about people's experience with your product or service, right? That's your brand. But we can plug the content. So let's say, for example, we have some content that might make a great infographic. Well, that same content can be plugged into a plethora of ways, a whole wide variety of deliverables. I'm going to go through them quickly with you to show you some of the options and variety of deliverables we can do with content. And then I'm going to come back with different videos and kind of dig in and zoom in and show you all the cool stuff that can be done. Okay. So with the same content document, you can create an infographic. Okay. That's assembling interesting data points into an engaging, fun to read visual format. Well, that's going to be the same with a lot of these different deliverables. So just imagine this 1 to 2 page Word document that's taking key critical points and putting it into a really cool, compelling infographic. And same can be said for an interactive PDF or an interactive infographic where we can add hotspots and data points to roll over things and make cool things happen on the interactive PDF. You can do the same thing with that same content document. You can take the content document and create an info brief, which is basically almost like an ebook, a very basic ebook with text and visuals and graphics and put together to an info brief from the same content document. Info documents. I've created a lot of these, and these are usually longer. Think of a white paper with a lot of graphical punch to it. And now this might be a longer document that can be plugged into an info document, but little bits and pieces of this info document can certainly go into an interactive PDF or an infographic. Okay, so then we have ebooks. Ebooks are kind of like info documents or info briefs, but ebooks tend to be more graphical and fun in nature. So I spend a lot of time really custom illustrating a lot of the covers and inside graphics for ebooks, but it comes from the same content document. E-magazines or e-mags, you can do the same thing. So think of a printed magazine, but instead we're doing it electronically. Thus the E for e-mag, right? Same content document we could use to create a white paper. You can create a very basic 2-pager all the way up to a 10, 20-page white paper. You can do that with a content document. We have PDF sliders, which is very much like an infographic, where we're basically calling out very specific information into a PDF slider. And I call it a slider because these pages make them animate, actually slide back and forth to make it a little more compelling. Analyst briefs, you can extract data. So for example, you have a white paper or you have an e-mag or an ebook or an info doc, and you might want to extract data on there from the analysts that put it together and put together an analyst brief. We're just getting creative with what we call these things, but it's repurposing and recycling content data onto different pieces. We have the info snapshots, which is kind of like an infographic where we take key data points and put them onto a 1 or 2 pager. Sometimes those are really useful for sales calls and such. E-publications, EPUBs. Again, same thing as a printed publication, but it's going to be online. We can plug the same content data into a presentation. I've done many projects where I'll have an e-publication or I'll have an info snapshot, any one of these that actually serves as a presentation. In fact, some clients actually start with a presentation as their content document, and then we repurpose and recycle that. Of course, there's websites. I've also worked many times with clients where we'll develop a website with a master, you can also call it a master document, a master content document that is the emphasis of their product or service as a website, and then I take bits and pieces of that to create all this other material. So that's the website. Mini graphics. I named this, I'm trying to get clever with a name here, mini graphics. Basically an online infographic, but again, taking little bits and pieces from any one of these other documents, key pieces, and making it an electronic online experience. I'll show you examples of that later. iViews, these are online interactive documents, which I'll show you, and it's again, repurposing content data online. Same with iBooklets. iBooklets, working on that online as well to make a real fun visual experience. Animations, of course, these are very popular. I do a lot of animations, motion graphics, where we're basically taking the story, the content, and we're animating it. We're bringing it to life. But again, it's the same content. We're repurposing. Video, of course, we do lots of video, and granted, video is very visual. We use a lot of visual graphics for video, but we tap into the content, because what do you put in a video? You tap into the same content that goes into everything else. So that's the emphasis of video. And then, of course, there's some cool things I'll show you later, like the video brochure, where I merge sort of print and digital together. That's kind of a cool piece, but again, the content comes from the same content document. Online infographics is the same as a static infographic, except it's online, it's responsive on devices, which I'll show you examples of that as well. So you can see there's a lot of options when it comes to content deliverables. You want to make it interesting for people to, to kind of latch on to your business, your product, or your service. So please reach out, feel free anytime. I give free creative advice all day long. And if it turns into a project I can help you with, that'd be awesome. I'd be grateful for that as well. But otherwise, I wouldn't mind the conversation. You see my email address, you see my phone number. Please do reach out if you have any questions. And keep an eye out on other videos, because I'm going to be showing you more details on all of the projects that I mentioned.